Welcome to this test video with me, MrSealyp. It's test time again. We haven't done any tests for a while. This is off the back of the mod review I did the other day about the corn baler, the Lizard Multibaler Kombi by Kastor d-s-agrarservice. I had quite a few comments left regarding, I mentioned the fact that usually if we want to silage harvest corn, that normally gives a very high yield. Of all the crop types, that's pretty good. Grass is pretty good because grass regrows and regrows and regrows. You have to replant or anything like that. But corn is pretty good for doing silage harvesting. And by silage harvesting, if you're new to this, you don't know what that means, it'll be using a forage harvester, like this one, with a corn header. And what you get is a loose product of chaff. You put that into a silage clamp, compact it, cover it, leave it to ferment. When it's fermented, you've got your silage. So that's how you would say usually do it if you're going to do it as a corn harvest. But with this baler, you can cut that corn with that forage harvester and bale it as you go. So the question I kind of posed was, do you still get a better yield doing it as loose product, or do you get a better yield or the same yield doing it as bales? That's the first of the tests we're going to be looking at. Loose silage versus baled silage using the same crop. Now I've saved the game at this point. I have a field. We'll go across and I'll show you the field. That's our field of corn. And then once we've harvested it first, I'm going to come back out the save, come back in again. So it'll be the same save, same crop, same everything done to it, and we'll just swap the way we collect it. First time round is going to be loose. I've got the Unreal, the RYC 120, that's 250,000 litre capacity, so it should be fine. I've got a Flegel dolly, which means I can hook it up to the back of the forage harvester. Now this pack, if you didn't watch the mod review, comes with the multi-baler. We've got a bunker container, and then we've got the adapter that goes on the back of the forage harvester. Now I did make sure when I saved the game my headers weren't attached. Now this is going to come with some bonus testing too, because technically, if you think about it, if we go to our forage, I was on forage harvester headers anyway, we've got our pickup collector headers, but we've also got these, and these are all crop headers, which allow you to actually cut down any crop and chaff it. So I've gone with the Direct Disc 500, part of the class pack, which is 5 meters wide. I've got a strip of sunflower, I've got a strip of soybean, and we're going to see if we can bale those as well, because I put it down as a corn baler, but technically with the all crop header we should be able to bale all of these, because what comes through ends up being chaff. But what I'm also going to do is another test mixed in with all this, because it has also been mentioned that this particular baler works a little bit like that one we had a while ago. What was it? The ST something, what was it called? Anyway, where it kind of beat the bale limit. It didn't count the bales as you went. So we're going to try and tackle all of them. First things first then. Let's jump in this. We've got the Orbis 900 9 meter header. Let's hook up to that. I must remember when I come out the save to, there we go. And look at that. So what we're going to do first off is, actually, you know what I might do? I think I'm going to move that right out of the way so we don't have any mistakes happen here. Because it is possible. It does happen. Mistakes can be made. Let's move that right out of the way. So first harvest is going to be just loose product from that field. We'll see what we get in total. Then we'll bale it. We'll come back off, we'll come back in, we'll bale it. Count up the bales, multiply them by 4,000, because each bale's 4,000 litres, and see if we get the same. Now this is really to see whether or not is there a benefit to silage baling the corn. Maybe it's easy to handle, you don't have to wait for it to be fermented. If you're not running seasons, you've got instant bales, it kind of works really well. Let's go to there, let's turn it on. I'm going to overlap slightly because sometimes you get a bit of corn kind of out on the periphery. As you can see, the head is sort of sticking out a little bit. Just to make sure, I'll do exactly the same on each one. It's not a huge field, but we should get a fair bit of chaff off this, and then we'll go again and see where we're at. Now I'm not going to put you through having to watch me harvest the entire field. There's nothing nefarious going on, nothing dodgy. I also totally understand the fact that you can harvest these fields when they're in their final growth stage, or the second final, when they're green. It has been posited and argued in the past that in its green state you get more yield. In the testing I've done in the past, I haven't found that. All I found is that if you do want to do a silage harvest on corn when it's green, before it gets to its final growth stage, you can. It just kind of, all it does really is just speeds up the fact you can do it earlier. I've never noticed a yield change. Now, people will argue that. I'm just saying, the testing that I've done, I've never come across that. So really, the testing here is for me, really, just to see whether that combi baler is the same as, better than, or worse than. Doing it loose like this. See you in a minute. As we finish off the final strip, we shall have our total. So, 126,419 litres of corn chaff. So the yield test, then corn chaff versus corn bales, 126,419. So like I say, what we'll do is reset. We'll run the same harvest again, same harvester, same header, but on the back we'll have the baler. We'll see what bales we end up with, multiply that by 4,000, and see whether we get close to 126,419. Now, what will it prove or disprove? It will come down to what you'd still rather do. Would you rather do it this way? Would you rather the convenience of quick and easy bales, because they're already done? If you're not running seasons, they're already there. If there's a big difference between the two, people asking actually in the comments whether or not, because I didn't mention it, was the baler the game changer? And I suppose, yeah, because you can make chaff out of all of these things normally, but if you can make the bales out of them, I guess it does change. It can possibly change the way you play the game. So again, I will see you in a moment. I'm going to reset, come out the save game, come back in again. Let's hook up to that, and let's see what we end up with. And then we've got the bonus tests as well. If you want to stick around for those, feel free. Right then, I have reset. Now, some of you might have already done some calculations. I did a quick calculation while I was resetting. 126,419 divided by 4,000, which is what you'd get per bale, gives an answer of 31.6. So we're looking at 31.6 bales for this to be, well, I mean, that's what we're looking at. That's the figure. Whether it comes in worse than, the same as, or better than 31.6 bales is kind of what we're aiming for. I was going to do it the other way, where we end up with bales, then just multiply that by 4,000. But either way round, we've kind of got a figure to aim for. So I think I've got everything. I've got it all opened. That needs to be on that. So we'll turn on the baler. Oh, unfold baler, that would be a good idea. Okay, unfold baler, turn on baler. It's running. Okay. This happened before. What was it I'd done wrong? Okay. Let's go. Let's see what happens. We have a target. Now this should be a rolling thing. It should be that I can just keep going. That's theory. Come on, bale. I'm going to reach my limit on it. There we go. I don't know, I'm it's one of the reasons why I said about doing the test, because I wasn't sure. But if it means you can continue, spin that around, turn it back on. So the thing we may have to think about here as well is while we're going down the straight, let's just check something. Let's go across to here. Created bales, it's saying 0. So I'm going to have to count the bales on the field. That could be another reason why, like people are saying, it kind of breaks the bale limit again. That's interesting because it also says, I'm sure it says that the bunker on the back of this is 10,000 litres. But it seems way more than that. Ah, right. I suppose it is technically. It's 14,000, so it's 10,000 in the bunker, 4,000 litres of bale, which potentially then pops out the back. I don't think we're going to even come close to 31 bales. We've done 3? That is the only other thing I found with this. Turning circle isn't phenomenal. So, we'll do what we said before. I'll see you in a minute. We'll see how many bales we've got. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we will have. Let's drop off the back. Well, that's the result, and I wasn't expecting that at all when I first started out. I've just counted the bales in the field. I've got 31 with 1,000 litres left in here. Which is, I mean, that's pretty much spot on. So as far as test number 1 goes, corn silage versus corn bales, pretty much identical, which is good to know, and it's nice to know because it does mean this is a different way of doing things now. If you want to do it this way, you can stick with the old way, you can do it this way, and it's going to be negligible between the two, if any difference at all, and that's absolutely brilliant. They both have their pros and cons because obviously if you do it that way, that can then be taken, but that has to be put into a silage clamp, that has to be compacted, has to be left, has to ferment. Doing like that, you've got your instant 4,000 litres of silage in there, and again, unless you're running seasons, but they have to be collected off the field, depending on whether you're using auto load trailers, that kind of thing, then taken somewhere. But again, it depends how you want to go about it. It was always a case of the problem being bales on console. You've got the 200 limit, so doing it that way, you can do way more silage loose in a bunker silo silage clamp than you can do in bales. So they're pros and cons, but we have a yield test result pretty much the same. Let's move on to test number 2. Okay, we're hooked up and we're good to go. A couple of things to be aware of. 1, for those of you that are already showing the screen, it won't do sunflowers. An all crop header won't do sunflowers because the sunflower is done with a corn header or a helianthus header, so an all crop header won't work with that. But also something to be aware of is an all crop header will cut grass. I've got to be careful there because I've got a little bit of grass in front. I might go past that before I switch that on. Hang on. Let's turn it off. Because if I put any grass through that, it then won't allow me to all crop the crop. It's one of those annoying things. So whilst yes, I think you can, let's turn it on. Right, so we are getting chaff. We are all cropping our soybean. Now as we're all cropping our soybean, chaff is coming out the back, and we should get a wrap bale because it's chaff. That's what this is designed to do. But we have to be so careful of catching the grass before we go onto the field and come off the field. There's a lot of prep work that we need to go in, putting a texture or something around your fields, or only making sure you've got it turned on when you hit the field. Yeah, so whilst yes it does work, got to be so careful here, because if that switches to grass, it then won't let me do the rest of it. Now, would you all crop your soybean and other crops that are worth a lot of money? Potentially not. It depends. If you've bought a field and it's got a crop in it and you don't want it, you don't need it, and you think, actually, you know what, I could have the chaff off that, then you could do it if you wanted to, rather than just cultivating a crop in and getting rid of it. As you can see though, compared to corn, what you're getting off of this all cropping takes a long time to get to one bale. Now admittedly the head is only 5 metres compared to the 9 metre one we were using before, but it's still taking quite a while to get to that bale. I'm not even quite sure if we're going to get to it before we get to the end of the row. There we go. Right, let's stop there. Out comes a bale and it should wrap. So it will work, just not with sunflower. So we are silage baling soybean. I think it does wheat, barley, what else does it do? The all crop header, we did have a look at it a minute ago. These are all crop headers. No, these are all crop headers too. So yeah, grass, wheat, barley, oats, canola and soybean it will do if you want it to. Now, that's test 2. So it will work, you've just got to avoid grass really going into that. But that doesn't matter if you are specifically doing grass, because it will work perfectly for that. Now if you've cut your grass, mowed it, you've got windrows, you can use the collect header, but if you use the all crop header, let's just switch to that, turn on baler, switch to that, turn that on. We can very happily just treat it like a mower, cut our grass, get our bales, and away we go. Now this was going to be my 3rd test, and this was also going to test, well yes we know it does grass, that's fine, but what about the bale limit? Now as we've already seen, looking at here, it's still saying created bale 0 in this session. Well I know I've got 31 there, and I've got another one that came out the back there, so that's at least 32. I've got one over there actually, because I caught grass when I was testing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a load of bales. I mean a load of bales. And let's see. You know, I mean it's almost a given I think at this point that yes, it's going to be fine. We should be able to go beyond 200 and it not be an issue, which is quite cool if it is. So again, I will see you in a little while. Next time I see you, there should be an absolute load of bales all over the place. I'm not going to count them all up, but we should be able to tell from how many are going to be about that we've gone beyond the limit, I think. Hey, I do the testing, so you don't have to. At this point, with the bale counter obviously not reading, and the possibility of going beyond 200, it looks good. There's some up there. Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is grab an auto load trailer, one of the larger ones, and gather it all up, see how many we've got, because we must have over 200. Must have. You watch me go and do them all and find I've got like 190 or something ridiculous. So I'm going to gather them all up, see how many we've got, and see if we can test out the last of the theories. I'm not saying that anyone's said you can do them is lying or anything, I'm just testing it. Well, I don't know if I've done something wrong. I went and collected up the bales I had, and I was short. I did 4 loads of 44, which took 44. Yeah, 4 loads of 44, which took me to 176. I went out to collect some more and I had about 20 left out there. So I continued baling, and then I got this. So it's telling me I've got to sell some. It won't even let me. I've got the baler turned on. It won't even let me turn the harvester on. I can't drop the header down. It won't let me do anything. So I don't know. People are saying that you can bypass it like you could with the other baler, and you can do more than 200. I haven't found that, and I haven't done anything dodgy. I haven't bought any. I've been out and I've been cutting the grass exactly as I did before. So anyway, I mean, it's a test. It's a result. Not quite what I was expecting, but I'm glad that the first test, the one that we came on for, the yield test, worked out how we wanted it to. Pretty much identical whether or not you do loose chaff for silage, corn chaff, or whether you do corn bales. It worked out absolutely fine. The other ones were all kind of in addition to. I hope you found this useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.